go. You say that's the difference in the Philippines.
Well, that's our bus. The one that we have to collect our parcel from. Actually, it's a letter, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
It's a letter.
A letter. So we're working out here.
Hello. Yeah, I let people to go out first. Is the people already out, darling?
It doesn't look as if there's anybody on it.
Okay.
So much business is done with Tagbilaran, with companies or people in Tagbilaran for our charity and for our 5-year project. So if we have paperwork that has to be taken or delivered to us, this is pretty well how we do it. Seems like that was a disappearing driver. So we pulled in, we didn't see him get out at all, and yet it looks like she's having trouble finding him. Probably he's in the CR. Yet when you get a bus or a van in Tagbilaran at the bus station there, it's not high pressure, but they have their guys who are dealing with getting business in for the vans, so they'll encourage you to take a van. Yes, come on, it's leaving now, or whatever it takes. See people arriving there, look. In that van, don't take my word for it, just look at how many people got out of that van. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They take up to 19 people, and your knees are under your chin. So a lot of people, I don't like riding in those vans because they have a very heavy schedule to meet. And I suppose the goal would be to be able to make 3 trips between Taliban and their base in Tagbilaran, and that normally for us to do it in the Raptor would normally be about between 2 and 2.5 hours. 2 to get us to the edge of the city. So you can imagine how fast they have to drive to make that trip 3 times. I would imagine they have quite a heavy burnout count, that drivers do that, and they do at least 2. It's at least 2 trips back and forth. But I suppose the goal would be to make 3, and then if they were doing that every day of the week, 5 days a week, they would be earning good money. But they do have their little mishaps. As I said, they will actually overtake in the most impossible situations. If I'm waiting and hanging back because I'm stuck between, say, 2 or maybe 1, I might be stuck between 1 car who is stuck behind 2 tricycles, or a tricycle and a slow motorbike, and so that makes 4 or 5 people to overtake, which is why I'm hanging back, and the van drivers will just launch straight out and do the overtake. There's a man going to the toilet. That's the way here. And here's Beth. Okay, honey.
Just wait, the driver is not there.
He's gone to the toilet, obviously.
I'll just wait there. Can just continue the video.
Okay. I got my orders. See, if you come here as a foreigner, as an expat, and you marry a Filipina. Of course, the trolls and the critics will all say, ah, yes, a caregiver. And in a way, they are correct. Because if you, especially if you have someone like Beth, Beth is a person who gets things done, and so in the most unlikely situations, you don't, as the foreigner, me, I don't do anything. Like I'm sitting here now, I'm just sitting in the truck and I'm waiting for Beth, and she will go, she'll find the driver, and she'll get the envelope that we need, and she'll give him something, and everything will be done. And then she'll come back. But if he's not there, it's not a problem. She'll come back and tell me this is what the situation is. Then she'll go back, and then she'll talk to various people. You know, do you know the driver of this bus? Have you seen him? So, and there's a whole joined together thing. It's all integrated with each other. They're all hand in hand, and somebody will help. But it requires that the one who's mediating for all of this is a Filipina, or not a Filipina, but a Filipino. And so this is where the cultural thing comes in, and it is a cultural thing that if, supposing two people have an argument, let's say that two people out of two different families have a disagreement, and that it's a bad disagreement, and they're not talking to each other and haven't spoken to each other for, say, a couple of weeks, where they normally would be in fairly close contact. What will happen is that there will be an emissary. An emissary will make the contact, and it will be done in a very laid-back way. So the emissary will go to person one, and they'll be talking and saying, wouldn't it be better if you were talking to the other person? And if that person says, well, I wouldn't mind, but I can't. I'm not going to be the one to say sorry, and he will tell the emissary how he feels. Now, the emissary goes to the other person, doesn't say anything about having been in touch with the first person, but he will then feel out the land, the lay of the land, and he'll send to the second person, so how long have you been not talking? And then it'll come out, well, 2 weeks. So, well, that's a bit rough. You were very good friends, weren't you? Yeah, but we had this disagreement. And finally, they unload onto the emissary. Now, the emissary goes back to number one and says, if he were to come to you, what would happen if you saw him in the street? Would you say hello? And the first guy might say, well, I would if he said hello first. This is the kind of thing that happens, isn't it? They say, yeah, I would if he was the one to say. So then he goes back to the second one and says, I'm sure that if you saw number one in the street, I'm sure that all you would have to do would just be say, hi, how are you? Do you think you could do that? And if the second one said, yeah, I think so, then he would go back to number one again. So the emissary is the go-between, and he doesn't reveal, he doesn't make any promises, and he doesn't reveal any confidences. See, so then he goes back to number one and he says, well, I think if you did meet, he probably would say hello. Oh, well, in that case, I wouldn't feel so bad about that. And the two people would be joined, but it would be the old thing that we used to hear from the gangsters, didn't we? Yeah, when we were looking at The Godfather and everything. Everything was about saving face. So you didn't want to lose face. And that's the idea behind the emissary. That the emissary takes a little bit of the flak, but then he's not really involved emotionally, so he can do this. And he would have the best interests of both at heart, and so you would have a good result. Then it would be for him to arrange somehow for that chance meeting to happen. Well, I'm going to cut out here because I still haven't seen any sign of this driver, and now Beth has disappeared, so I might just go over there and see what's happened.